Okay, so chapter 1, verse 6 of Devarim, it says, Hashem Elokeinu diber Eloheinu b'chorev limor. That Hashem our God spoke to us at Chorev. Chorev is the mountain, and said, Rava Alchem Sheves Bahar Hazeh. Chorev is the mountain of Sinai. He said, God told us, you've been living here for too long. Time to move. Time to leave the mountain. Rashi says, Kipshuto. That is a simple meaning. The simple meaning means you've been living here too long. Yesh midrash agadah. But there is also a midrash about it. It tells us, you have a lot of reward and you got a lot of good deeds or greatness because you dwelt on this mountain. What did you do here? Asita mishkan menorah v'kelim. You made the mishkan, the menorah, the other sacred utensils. Kibaltem Torah. You received the Torah. Minitem lachem Sanhedrin. Okay, hold on. Okay, you appointed Sanhedrin. Sarei, famous Sarei Meot. You appointed leaders of thousands and leaders of hundreds. Meaning to say you did a lot here in this mountain. You accomplished a lot of mitzvahs. Canoe, turn and travel for yourselves. Bo Hara and Mori, come to the mountain of the Amorites. Al Kol Shechinav, all of its neighbors. Barava, Bahara, Vashvela. We did the Rashi. Go now and turn towards the Amorites, to all its neighbors, the plains, the mountains, the Shvela, the lowlands, by Negev in the south, the Chofayam, the beach. I assume that's like Yafo. See what Rashi says it is. Eretz HaKanani v'Lavanon, the Canaanite land, and the Lavanon ad Nahar Gadol Nahar Pras, until the big river, which is presumably the Euphrates. So, in case you're listening, Iraq, we're coming to you. And according to the Bible, we have all the way from the Negev to Iraq, to the Euphrates.
And to Lebanon.
No, the Euphrates is past Lebanon.
No, north to Lebanon.
No, right. North to Lebanon and
East to the Euphrates.
East to the Euphrates. When we went to Mount Sinai, we had a mashkiach who was making sure the food was kosher. And he told me that he once drove from the north of Israel. He drove straight to Baghdad. And then when he got there, they promptly arrested him and threw him in prison. So you should have said, it's ours. Look at what Rashi says. This is the root of Arad and Chorma. I don't know what that is. Rashi says,
because before that, they weren't allowed to go to Chorma. The Ma'apilim went to Chorma, and that's where they were killed.
I see.
After the Chet of the Meraglim.
Okay. Okay, so then it says, Uvo Har Amori, come to the mountains of the Amorites. Rashi says, Kamash Ma'o. This is as it sounds, meaning to say, it's taken literally. I'm not sure what Rashi's adding here. Al Kol Shcheinav, to all its neighbors. Well, this refers to Ammon, Moav, Har Seir. Barava. Well, Rashi says, Zem Mishur Shalyar. This is the wooded plain. So the Arava here is not the Arava mentioned in verse 1, which is described as the wilderness. Yes, that's the south of Israel. Here we're talking about the wooded plains. I'm not sure what that's referring to either. Bahar Zahara Melch, this is the mountain of the king. So these are the lands of Judah. Bachofayam, the Shvela, the lowlands. This is Shiflat Darom. This is the lowlands of the south. Banegev Uvachofayam, this is Ashkelon, Aza, Caesarea, Tekoa. Today, so Gaza's ours. It's right there in the Rashi. Rashi says it explicitly that the Jewish people were given Ashkelon, Aza.
Tell Sid more.
I'm not on a speaking basis with him in this time, and I'm going to try and keep it like that. Baruch Hashem, I hope so. And then it says, Adanahara Gadol, till the great river. Rashi says, nation Iskar im Eretz Yisrael. Why is it called a great river? Because it's mentioned with Israel, therefore it's called great. As the parable says, the slave of a king is a king. So therefore, attach yourself to a ruler and they'll bow down to you. Come into contact with one as anointed, become anointed yourself. So it's called the great river because it's associated with Israel. I mean, I always thought that the Euphrates was the river of the ancient world, but I guess we're saying that's not why it's called the Great River. Hey boys, how you doing? Baruch Hashem.
End up not being able to make it.
Your dad dipped?
Dipped.
He dipped. He's entitled. Okay. Then the Rashi says, verse 8. Steve, is your yahrzeit is today? You have the yahrzeit today? So it's today. And who are we studying in memory of?
Father.
Your father was his Hebrew name?
This Shlomo Yosef Halevi.
Shlomo Yosef Halevi. So we're studying in memory of Steve's father, Reb Shlomo Yosef Halevi, and the merit of all the good deeds of his son and his other descendants. May his neshama have an ascent to Shemayim. So, how many years has it been?
He died in 2000.
Okay, so it's easy to remember how many years. Okay, we're on chapter 1, verse 8. Moshe is speaking and he says, Re'eh, look, I have given to you. Okay, I've given to you at the Aretz, the land, Bo Rishu at the Aretz, come and inherit the land, Asher Nishba Hashem Avotechem, which God has sworn to your fathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God is saying, I'm giving you this land, come and inherit it. Why does he say see? Because Rashi says, he's saying see with your own eyes. Look at with your own eyes. I don't tell it to you out of speculation, or from a report. I'm saying to you, look at it with your own eyes. Bo Rishu, come and take possession. Rashi says, there's no one objecting. You don't need to go to war. If they hadn't sent spies and then they were punished for the spies, they would not have needed weapons. Meaning to say, Hashem was saying, it's all yours. You don't have to do anything. This is the land that I inherit, that I gave to you, that was sworn to your forefathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Rashi says, why does the verse mention again Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob after it says your forefathers? But it's to teach us that each one was worthy on their own. Avram kedai latzmo, Yitzchak kedai latzmo, Yaakov kedai latzmo. They're all worthy on their own.
Well, isn't it really saying that they were pledged the land?
It's yours. I'm saying it's yours.
Based on that pledge, yeah.
Which, by the way, this is me, a rabbi, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think it's a much more compelling argument for the land that the Jews have the right to the land of Israel that's our ancestral homeland, then it's a gift to us because of the Holocaust. That's what Barack Obama said. The Jews should have Israel because of the Holocaust.
That's not the reason.
But no, that's what he said in a speech in Egypt. And I was thinking, no, that's not the reason, because then there's nothing specific about the land of Israel. And you could give us
Uganda.
whatever, Uganda, you could give us,
Church.
you could give us some other place nobody wants to go. But wherever place you think nobody wants to be, there's already somebody living there. There's already something. How you doing, Elon? I see you going for the Jesus look with the hair. Beautiful. We like it. Yeah. So that's also, by the way, I once read a book about that. It's a very interesting book. It's called Jesus Through the Ages. You think, why does people depict Jesus looking like that? Jesus probably looked nothing like that. Jesus probably maybe looked Middle Eastern. And it's just Europeans are trying to depict how, they think, how did Moses look? Do you think Moses looked more like us or more like our friend Guy? Most likely looked more like our friend Guy. Definitely what didn't look like the European, Polish, Russian Jewry. That's where I'm from.
Maybe somewhere in between.
Mm.
It's like.
So somewhere between us and Guy, yeah, probably.
It's like looking smarty, you know?
That's, yeah, but that's also anachronistic.
Smarty a little bit.
Yeah, Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But maybe,
Listen.
did he look Yemenite or did he look like Syrian?
right. I'm saying, or did he look African? Most likely looked African. We're all coming from Africa, so it's what? Yeah,
Rob, isn't there a whole like sect of Christianity that's devoted to Black Jesus?
I'm sure there's. By the way, that whole sect of Christianity, I never heard of it. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to take a wager that if you Google how many of them there are more of them than there are Jews. Yeah.
Probably.
Elon, that'll be your homework assignment. See if you. What? Okay. So anyway, the next verse says, Moshe looked out at the Jewish people and he said, I said to you at that time, I can't do it by myself. I have to delegate. Now, it is always interesting to me that there's another version of the story where Moshe has to delegate. And do you know which portion that version is told in? Anybody remember? Where do we see the story of Moshe being? What?
Yitro?
Yitro. Yitro comes in, but in Yitro, what? But in the Yitro story, it's not Moshe's idea. It's Yitro telling him, listen, you got to delegate. But here, Moshe says it was my idea. He came up with the idea that's too hard for me. So how come Moshe here takes the credit for himself?
Because Yitro isn't there.
Yitro's not there anymore. Yitro abandoned them. Yitro left in the end of the Bamidbar. So Moshe's, and also maybe they don't even know Yitro. Yitro was older than Moshe. So Moshe's about to die. This new generation doesn't know who he is. He says, I said to them, Ma'uli, more Amar Moshe. I didn't say it by myself. I said it from God. That's also difficult. It was Yitro. But anyway, since I can't do it by myself. So the Rashi says, is it possible that Moses couldn't judge Israel? A man who took them out of Egypt, split the sea, brought down the mud, made the pheasants fly to them. He was not able to judge them? But rather he said to them as follows, Hashem, your God, has increased you, has made you great. He's raised you over your judges. He's taken the punishment from you. He has put it on the judges. This is what Shlomo Melch said. Who can judge his people of great consequence? Meaning to say, if I judge you wrongly, I can judge you, but if I judge you incorrectly, then who can judge you? So that is what he was afraid of. This is what Solomon said. The judges of this nation are not like the judges of the other nations. The judge of the other nation judges and kills and beats or strangles or perverts his judgment or robs. Nothing, he doesn't suffer the consequences. But I, as a Jewish judge, if I made someone liable to pay money improperly, my life is demanded of me. as it states, the kavaz koveim nefesh, it takes the lives of those who steal from them. So basically, Moshe says, I'm afraid to judge incorrectly because the consequences are so severe. Elon, did you get an answer for us?
It doesn't seem that they have that thing. I was wrong, apparently.
There is no sect that has that vision?
I think it's like some people think it, but it's not like a specific, like.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's,
I mean, you're thinking of the black Hebrew words.
there is a very,
It's like, you know, like the pastors, they're like preaching like Christian stuff. So I saw that they were preaching Black Jesus.
well, no, it's more likely that he was black than that he was white.
Yeah,
Well, that, I'm not saying what color he was, but it's more likely to have been black than white. He didn't look like Mel Gibson. Okay, so anyway, that's why Moshe didn't want to be the judge. And the next verse states, oh wait, Hashem Elokechem, Hashem your God, your Baslam is increased you, Vinchem Hayom, and he has made you today, increased you, like the Kochvei Hashemayim Larov, like the stars of the heaven in abundance. She says he increased you. Were they like the stars of the heaven on that day? They were only 600,000. Stars of heaven are much more. Excuse me. So what does that mean? Behold, you are compared to the Yom, lasting eternally, like the sun and like the moon and like the stars, that you're going to last eternally. Hashem Elokechem, Hashem Elokechem, Hashem, the God of your fathers, Yosef Alechem Kachem Elaf Pamim, will increase you 1,000-fold. Vivarech etchem, and he will bless you, Kasher Diber Alechem, like he spoke to you. Hashem will increase you 1,000-fold. Well, what's 1,000 times 600,000 men? What is that?
6 million.
No, I think it's much more than that.
60 million.
I think maybe 600 million.
600 billion.
Why don't you look that up for us on the calculator? Somebody. Everybody's got an iPhone. What do you get, Ezra? 600,000 times 1,000.
600 billion.
600 what?
600 billion.
600 million. No, we haven't reached that yet. So, how does he answer that? That's a unless you say Moshe vivarechatchem ala amru Moshe atanoten kitzvah leberchotenu. So, what is meant by stating again and bless you as he has spoken you? That when Moshe blessed them 1,000 times, they said, Moshe, you're putting a limit on our blessings. Hashem said to Avram, nobody can count us. So Moshe said, this is blessing is from that which was mine, but he will bless you as he spoke of you. So I wonder, how do we explain this? That Moshe is saying that God is telling them that they're going to increase 1,000-fold, but they didn't. We never fulfilled that blessing.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that I've heard some commentaries say is that your influence has reached that, and that it has because the both Christianity and Islam stemmed from Judaism. They learned about monotheism from Judaism. I don't know that we want to take credit for them.
Rabbi,
Yeah,
what
It's
if we
true.
calculated all the Jews that died in the centuries and millennia since?
Mm,
That wouldn't be 600 million?
that's a good question. How many Jews have lived in the history of humanity?
Oh, that makes a lot.
I don't know.
Let's say it's 14 million each generation. So
No, but
yeah, for sure.
No, you can't say it's 14 million each generation. Most of the generations overlap.
Right.
Like you can't say, oh, every generation, so it's 14 million every 20 years. So then in a year,
No,
it's
so instead of 20, let's say 75 or 80. Like they say now that we are the same amount of Jews that there were before the Holocaust, right?
I don't know. I'm not saying right to anything. I'm not agreeing to anything. I don't trust this. I don't trust this argument. Okay, let's go on. Now we say the next verse says, Moshe says in the cost, what'd you say, Moshe?
Saying like those Jews also would have multiplied.
That's true.
Yeah,
So there's an absence of Jews because they didn't get to them.
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know. I wonder if anybody has researched this question. How many Jews have ever lived in the history of? Well, first of all, the question is, how many human beings have ever lived?
They say 100 billion people.
100 billion, yeah, but that's where they count go way back beyond the time of. You want to know how many Jews have lived in the last 3,500 years? How many people have lived in the last 3,500 years?
I don't know.
Right, so I'm saying that's where you want to go, and you want to take the percentage of the world, assuming that the Jews are, let's say, whatever person.
Have way more percentage.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure so the Roman Empire, so it was probably less.
0.2% right now.
How much are we?
0.2.
0.2. So if we can figure out how many people have lived in the century, how many people live in a century, then we could say take 0.2% of that and multiply it by there's 10 centuries in every 1,000 years, and it's 3,500 years, so multiply it by 35.
Because 1,000 years ago, there was like a tenth of its population as there is now.
Yeah, okay, so basically you're right. We need somebody who actually knows demographics to try and figure this out. It would not be me, but I doubt, my feeling is, I don't believe we've even reached 600 million. That's just my intuition. Especially when the populations were much smaller. Also, like today, you have Jews all over the world. In the ancient world, once the Jews left, I mean, you have a couple of Jews.
16,000, it would be 600 million net between those.
Right.
regions, right?
Yeah, okay, but I'm saying we're going with their numbers. Okay, so now we go to the next verse, and this we read to the tune of Echa Salavadi. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, how can I do it by myself? Torchachem, Umasachem, Rivchem, your burdens, your troubles, and your quarrels. Says the Rashi, how can I do it by myself? If you're going to say the Kabel Star that I'm trying to receive the reward, I wouldn't be able. That's what I said, not from myself that I tell this to you, but I'm telling it to you from God. Meaning to say, if you want me to do this for the reward, for the glory, I can't do it. Your troubles. This teaches us that the Jewish people were troublemakers. He says, how can I make yourself, how can I handle your troubles? The Jewish people were troublemakers. If one of them would see his adversary winning in the case, he would say, I have witnesses to bring. And the other one would say, I'm adding judges to you. It would cause problems. It's hard to imagine that the Jewish people were troublemakers. Hello, Ira. Hard to imagine Jewish people were troublemakers. So then, your burdens, this teaches us that they were heretics. Moshe left his home early to judge the people. They said, what did the son of Amram see that led him to leave? Maybe he's having trouble in his home, domestic trouble. If he left later, they said, what did he see that told him to leave? Not to leave. What do you think? He's sitting and devising plans against you and thinking thoughts against you. So whatever Moshe did, they were giving him problems. Moshe was getting problems. If he left too early, they said, why is he leaving early? He doesn't like his wife. If he left too late, he said he's plotting against you. So they were heretics. We learned halacha. We started learning now the Sefer Kesed HaSofer. And if you want, you could go on our YouTube channel and watch it. And I'm doing it every day, the Kesed HaSofer. But the Kesed HaSofer said halacha about heretics, which I'll mention here. What do you think you're supposed to do if you have the Torah scroll that was written by a heretic? Let's say a person says, I don't believe in Shabbos, I think it's bogus. I don't believe in God, but listen, I learned how to be a sofer, I can make some money. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write it anyway. What do you and then he writes a Torah scroll. What should you do with that Torah scroll when they bring it to the synagogue? Should you read from it? What should you do with the Torah scroll? And let's say, what would you say?
This is something I feel you said before.
I said this morning.
Something,
What?
burn it.
Yeah, very good, Moshe. That's what we said this morning. You take such a Torah scroll and you're supposed to burn it. That's what it says. Halacha is you burn the Torah scroll that was written by somebody who doesn't have the right faith, the right beliefs. You're supposed to burn it. The Torah scroll's holiness comes only from the way it was the proper intent. So if you take a Torah scroll And it was written with the person who does not have the proper faith, you're supposed to burn it. It's a very powerful halacha. Teaches us that everything is about the proper framework, proper frame of mind. Okay, I see that the cavalry is here, so let us stop at this time. I think Akiva has volunteered to lead. Akiva, you volunteered? Okay.